army crying. Is this the real reason Jungkook is avoiding the public? A secret letter that was never published has finally been revealed, and its contents make anyone who reads it speechless, crying, even angry. Why did Jungkook hide this for so many years? Who was the person in his family who secretly wrote the letter full of wounds? Dan. Is this all related to the attitude of his father who has never been touched on in front of the camera? The army is crying. The contents of a letter from Jungkook's family that was never published? Jungkook's shocking confession. Family's secret revealed after years of silence. What happened exactly? Why did Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS who always looked strong, full of smile and dedication, suddenly choose not to appear in the media after entering the military? Why does he seem to disappear from the world that has loved him so much? What really pushed him away not just from the cameras, not just from the army, but even from his own family? These questions are now echoing louder than ever. A letter. Yeah, just a piece of paper. But this paper carries a deep wound, a confession, or maybe even an apology from someone we never expected. A paper that was never intended to be published. But now, everything has changed. The letter was found in Jungkook's personal belongings during an internal military document transfer process. Not spread by the media. It was not released by HYB either. Rather, it was discovered by accident by an officer who was later shocked by its emotional content. Untitled letter. Not signed by name. But his first sentence lets anyone who reads it know right away, this is no ordinary letter. John Jungkook, if you're reading this, it means I'm too late to fix everything. But I want you to know, I never intended to hurt you. It's just that I was too scared to be a real father. That opening sentence changes everything. Why did Jungkook's father write such a sentence? What really happened in their relationship? Don't we all know Jungkook as a child who grew up full of love and support? In interviews, he rarely mentions his father. She often told about her brother, about the mother who is always supportive, about her harsh but passionate childhood. But about the father? Just silence. Now that silence is broken, the contents of the letter, which slowly unfold, describe another side of Jungkook's life that has never been reported. Not because he wanted to hide it, but because the pain is too deep to explain. Too many old wounds he buried just to be able to smile in front of the camera. Jungkook, the golden magne, apparently harbors unspoken pain. You probably remember your 10th birthday. I'm not home. Not because I forgot, but because I don't feel worthy to stand in front of you. I'm ashamed that I can't be like your friend's father. I'm not a role model. I was a failure. Sentence by sentence, Jungkook seems to be back-faced with a mirror of the past. What really happened on his 10th birthday? In an old interview, Jungkook referred to his 10th birthday as a strange day, full of cake, but empty. At the time, everyone was laughing. But now, nobody laughs anymore. The content of the letter describes a father who lives in the shadow of his own failures, who moved away not out of hatred, but out of shame. But will it be enough to erase the wounds that have been created? You know why I never come to your important events? It's not that I'm not proud, but because every time I see you shine on stage, I see what I could never achieve. And I'm afraid you'd hate me if you knew the whole truth. What exactly does the father mean by truth? Is it about their darker past than we can imagine? Was there a mistake so big that the father felt unworthy to be present in his son's life? This letter is not just about regret, but about the apology that came too late. And most surprisingly, the end of the letter, it really breaks the heart of anyone who reads it. If I could turn back time, I'd want just one thing: sit in the back row at your concert. You don't have to look at me, but I want to know what it's like to be the father of someone as special as you. No signature, no name, but Jungkook knows who wrote it. And the reaction? Leaving the media scene. Withdraw. Not just from the camera, but from anyone trying to connect him to that past. Including his friends at BTS, even. Including the mother. Did I ask this why Jungkook really refuses to meet anyone, even after Jin is out of the army? Is this the reason why he was not seen at the small celebration held by HYB? Is the wound too deep to share? Soldiers all over the world began to cry. They realized that behind Jungkook's smile, there was something that he had been hiding so well. Not because he didn't believe in the army, but because he wanted to protect them from pain that shouldn't be shared. Now, the letter is spread in limited internal circles. There has been no official statement from HYBE's side. Even Jungkook hasn't opened his voice yet. But one thing is certain, his heart is healing. A close friend who declined to be named said that Jungkook now writes more often. Not to release a song, but for himself. He wrote little letters, he said, to his former self. A child who feels alone. The 10th anniversary is never truly celebrated. A disappointment he never expressed. The army wondered, will there be a song created from this wound? Will there be a show that becomes a forgiveness room? Or will this be a story that will forever be kept in silence? Not a few argue that Jungkook's silence this time is not ordinary silence. Not because of the project, not because of the military, but because he was facing his greatest battle, not on the stage, not in the military arena, but within himself. Many hope that the letter will soon be released in its entirety. But there are also those who think, maybe this letter is not intended for the public. Perhaps this is a story that can only be solved personally. But how could something of this magnitude not touch the hearts of millions of ARMY who have loved him unconditionally? Now, the big question hangs in the air. Will Jungkook speak? Will he forgive? Or rather, will he choose to leave this world completely after the military and start a completely new life? Without cameras, without a stage, one thing is certain. The content of the letter has changed the way we view Jungkook. No longer just a multi-talented artist who is perfect in the eyes of the public, but as a human, the wounded, who seek meaning, who tries to forgive, even if his own heart is not yet whole. And in that silence, ARMY's love became the only voice that could possibly reach her. Word of the letter didn't explode as usual. No official announcement, no HYBE press release. Not even a leak from any Korean media. But precisely because of this news spread like fire in the chaff. Whispers in community forums, quiet conversations among military staff who knew him, to ARMY suspicions that began to match the oddities in Jungkook's last activity before he completely disappeared from the screen. Do you remember how he smiled during his last concert before enlistment? As he said, asterisk, I just want you to know that you have made my life meaningful. Asterisk, many thought it was a normal greeting, an idol's expression of love for his fans. But now it feels like a goodbye. Not because he wanted to, but because he knew he could no longer pretend to be unharmed. Jungkook is not the same anymore, said a longtime HYBE staffer who has been in charge of BTS world tours since 2017. He said that after the last concert, Jungkook did not talk much. He was no longer joking as usual in the dressing room. He just sat quietly, looking at the phone screen and occasionally tapping the screen like he was hesitant to send something. Did he read the letter then? Or did you write the reply? This question dangles like a black cloud in the sky that is usually clear for the army. But this storm came without rain. Only silence bites and Tanya hangs. If Jungkook himself never shared the secret, what did he really want to protect? Some say this is the reason why Jungkook never talks about his father figure in BTS documentaries that are studded with family memories. Even in Break the Silence and Burn the Stage, when the other members cry over their parents, Jungkook only smiles a little, saying, I owe everything to my mom and Hyunku. There's no father in that sentence. And now, we're starting to understand why. Is it true that their relationship never recovered? Was the letter the last form of communication from a father who could never be his son's protector? Or rather, is this the beginning of something more painful, an old betrayal that has been deeply buried all this time by a child who just wants to love without wounds? It was said that the letter was found in a yellowed envelope, tucked in Jungkook's old leather wallet that he used to carry only on private trips. Why is he still keeping it? Is it because he can't let go? Or because the letter is the only evidence that his father, in the end, confessed everything? Even more surprising, according to military sources, after finding the letter back, Jungkook made an unusual request. He wanted to avoid any kind of interaction involving his family, even to HYBE's representative who used to handle BTS members. family visits during military service. He even reportedly refused to accept a letter from his own mother, not out of hate, but because he didn't want it to make him waver. He was afraid that he would no longer be able to contain the emotions that he had suppressed for so long. He was like holding back tears all night, said one of the soldiers who happened to sleep in the same room with him. Sometimes I wake up at 3 in the morning and see him sitting quietly against the wall. No talking, no crying, just SH. When word of the letter began to spread in silence, its impact was felt to resonate in unexpected corners of the world. It didn't take a live broadcast or a press statement to get the army to react. Just one sentence from a member of the military witnessed Jungkook's attitude change, and the world began to cry with him. But on social media, #WeWaitForJungkook and #StayStrongJK instantly became trending in 78 countries in less than 12 hours. Not because of the official campaign, but because of the collective pain that arose almost simultaneously. In Brazil, a group of soldiers created a large mural on one of the walls of an art school in São Paulo depicting Jungkook sitting alone in the middle of a sea of letters. In the Philippines, fans held prayers together while lighting candles, sending out wishes for Jungkook to know he is not alone. But what was most thrilling was a video of a Japanese soldier quietly saying, "We don't care who your father is, or what he ever did. We love Jungkook for what he showed the world. Courage in silence, sincerity in fatigue, and the love he never asked for in return." That sentence made thousands of people cry because it felt like the army was speaking directly to the bottom of Jungkook's heart. And perhaps, from his hidden place, Jungkook saw it all. But can such a great love heal the wounds that have rotted in silence for years? A psychological analyst who once worked with South Korean artists in secret said that unresolved childhood trauma often becomes an inner prison for celebrities, especially when they shoulder global expectations, like Jungkook. The pressure to look perfect not only makes them tired, but also delays the healing process. Because how can you heal if you have to keep going strong in front of everyone, all the time? This statement made many parties began to question HYB's attitude. Why is the letter never managed internally? Why did Jungkook have to bear the impact himself? Did HYB know about the contents of the letter long before the public heard her whispers? To make matters worse, speculation arose that the letter was not only an emotional confession, but also guilty plea. There is part of the letter that allegedly contains a sentence from the father that reads, "I'm sorry because I used to choose to leave, because I'm too scared to face your mother." The sentence, if true, not only shows a very complex family conflict, but also psychological wounds that may be the main reason why Jungkook did not want to meet anyone from his family during his military service. In fact, according to a former HYB staffer who has not been under contract since 2022, there was once an internal meeting that discussed the possibility of Jungkook taking a long-term hiatus long before his enlistment because his condition was already past the limit of his emotional endurance. Was that letter, perhaps written years ago, the trigger for Jungkook's eventual collapse of all power? Even more heartbreaking, when the soldiers from Korea began to recall Jungkook's childhood that he had briefly told on the radio, about how he once felt no place to go home except his mother's arms. The sentence that used to sound poetic is now proof of the long silence that he hides. Now the question is not only, what exactly is in the letter, but also, what will happen to Jungkook after this? Do you want to go back to the world that created you? Or leave him, and all of us for the peace he never felt as a child? In such a situation, extreme noises appear. Some urged HYB to release an official statement. Others asked that the letter never be made public in order to preserve Jungkook's privacy. But one thing that cannot be stopped is the love of the army. No matter whether the letter is opened or not, they just want Jungkook to know that he is loved unconditionally.